This is Middleton Mountain in Vernon, BC, and I thought it would be a great vantage to check out one of Vernon's greatest historical projects, the Grey Canal. This was a giant gravity-fed irrigation channel built in the early 1900s to divert water from behind Bluenose Mountain through a canal that wraps all around Vernon here before finally flowing into Okanagan Lake 50 kilometers later. All right, so what I want to do next is hike, bike, bushwhack as much of the trail as humanly possible to see what remains after 100 years. Headgates Road, I must be going the right way. That's about as close as I can get to the Headgates Dam. I'm just standing beside Duto Creek, right beside the Headgates. This river was the single source feeding the whole canal. And this is the starting point at which the 50-kilometer irrigation channel diverts from the river and heads off into the Coldstream and Vernon Valley. Well, this is the very beginning of what used to be the Grey Canal. And right now there's not a whole lot to see. Basically just a scar in the forest. I realized pretty quickly that trying to hike along the whole 50 kilometers of this route is going to be impossible for the sole reason that it crosses so much private property. And at least for the beginning section here, I think my only real option is to get a couple aerial shots and at least see where the path goes. Okay, this is kilometer 1. You can see kind of a very slight indent where the canal used to be, but over the years it's been filled in. All right, continuing on, it kind of disappears into some farmland where presumably it was completely dug up. Continuing downhill towards Lavington, we come to the project's first siphon. Now this used to be a wooden stavepipe and then later was replaced by a steel pipe, and I'm not seeing any indication that this exists at all anymore, or maybe it's buried. It brought the water down to the valley and using the siphoning effect up again to follow the hillside here and maintain a higher elevation. All right, I'm finally able to pick up the trail here. This is flume number 5, or what remains of it. This section had a really beautiful stone flume. Some part of the construction says 1959 there. Now it's very clear on the right to see remnants of the old irrigation ditch. I should be able to follow the trail for a long ways here. It's been developed into a recreational walking trail. Top of the morning, fellas. Just to give an idea of scale, I can see Turtle Mountain way across the city there. This route has to wrap around the whole north end of the city. It's gonna take a long time to get around there. Nice old concrete flume through this area. That is the Grey Canal down there, and this is the Boss Creek section of trails, which is very hard to navigate. I'm deep in the section known as East Vernon. There's not a whole lot of irrigation project to see, but I know some good stuff's coming up. From up here, there's a great view of Turtle Mountain and the portion of the Okanagan Lake that the Grey Canal finally flows into. Descending into BX Creek, I can see the old supports of the massive siphon. I can also find a lot of the staves for the original wooden pipe. Digging around the forest a bit, I found these metal bars which were used to hold together the planks of the wooden stave. Those have to be 100 years old. Okay, meeting up with family on the next leg. All right, coming out of the BX Valley here, the trail is just leading me up onto this embankment sort of thing, and you can see down there we're just following like an old earthen canal. There's the Howard siphon down there.
I showed him.
That's like what you were talking about, where they...
Yeah. It's higher on the ones and lower on the other, and they can siphon it through. Yeah, what do we... Oh yeah, there's like some sort of mystery. Pipe coming out of the other side. Oh yeah, that's probably like one of the offshoots, hey? Flume number 7. There's a huge trestle up there. Do not climb. Good idea. Lots of broken trestles here. Yeah, this is definitely the best section.
Yeah, do you like that?
No. This flume here used to be about 1 kilometer long, all across this area. Definitely a complicated section. Wow, did you have any idea that this was out here in the bush? Oh, this section's really nice and preserved. Right, we've reached the northernmost section of the canal where it takes a turn west towards Swan Lake. Somewhere between Highway 97 here and the north end of Swan Lake was the Swan Lake siphon, but I'm not seeing any remnants of it. From the Swan Lake siphon, the canal continued on towards Goose Lake, and then looping around these hills of pasture land. All that remains is a scar on the land. The concrete flume here showing through. I am back on trail, following now the Turtle Mountain section. Looks like there's some old canal ruins here. I'll go check them out. These look like points where irrigation pipes would attach to the canal. On a trail now that just exactly parallels the canal just to my left. It's just a ditch now that's covered in sage. Every once in a while I'm just coming down into the canal just to see if there's anything interesting. Sometimes it's lined with concrete like this. Sometimes there's like an outtake down into the valley. There's a good example of an exit to one of the fields below. I haven't been finding them because they're either removed or buried, but this is part of the night siphon near the Turtle Mountain section, and finally I got a peek at it. It's buried right under the path. Woo! Wow, this is cool. getting scenic. These cliffs behind the present day Davidson orchards are significant for the fact that they held the highest trestle holding up the Grey Canal. I got the Grey Canal on my right, and on my left, beautiful views with Terrace Mountain still snow covered in the distance. This is the Bella Vista section now. And I can look back where I started. There's Blue Nose Mountain way in the distance there. Let's just say it's been a long day. Whew, what a journey. After 50 kilometers, whatever water didn't irrigate the lush fields of Vernon continued on through the canal here, bent, and went into Okanagan Lake right there.